What's going on, YouTube? It is me, Discount Circus, with Discount Kamel. Psych, it's Ryan, PDS, and we are doing power rankings. Oh my lordy, how are you doing today, PDS?
I'm doing great. Sunday afternoon. Actually, I mean, it's Monday. Sorry, guys. I meant Monday.
Yeah, it's Monday. Yeah, it's Monday. We recorded this and put it up right away at 6 a.m., dude. Come on. Oh god. Yeah, so this week 6 tournaments in total. Obviously a lot of communities are doing the KC Cup style format, no side deck, or we actually had a KC GT format on Friday.
Right.
But we did have the big GG Tour tournament, $500 tournament this week. So it was still a competitive week for side deck format. Pretty much it went as expected. I would say Onomats again, by far the most topping in points. Is there really
Yeah.
anything else to say about Onomats at this point?
I
I don't
mean,
know.
yeah. Konami, please. It's
Konami, please.
KC Cup coming along. I'm smelling the Grim Reaper coming through. This
Yeah,
deck
it's
is
over.
not long for this earth, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
over 20 points again. With a crazy buffer there. I mean, I feel like the only real thing that we saw this week with Automats, and we can talk about the deck itself, Lunalights, later down the road, but the Lunalight Onomat matchup, the guy who won in GG Tour, the $500 tournament, went undefeated, and he played a lot of Onomats. Seems
Right.
like they can't really handle non-targeting. That's just all it is. The targeting is just too much. The Saber Dancer. I don't know. What's the dealio, man? What are they supposed to
Right.
do?
So, um, they just a lot of these guys were side decking Swordbreaker, and
Mm,
I don't know if you're familiar with the card. You call a monster type and then it just automatically destroys that monster type. But even that was not enough because they just have to deal with multiple Saber Dancers. So, that deck
mm,
is a really nice answer to it. But of course, there's always going to be those games where Onomat, it just is Onomats, so they
yeah.
just completely, they crush whatever is supposed to quote unquote counter them.
So, in your opinion, what is the problem with Onomat? Why is Onomat just so much so the best deck? Because a lot of people, whenever I talk about Onomat on stream, they're always like, "Well, they nerfed Rhino Bust, right? Shouldn't it just go back to being how it was before, where all the decks are kind of competing and like there's a new winner every week?" Well, why did Onomat just take over like crazy?
Right. So it has a couple things going for it. Firstly, the skill is probably the best skill ever. Like, it's just
No.
absurd how generic it is and how what you can get with it. It's just really powerful, and you can use it twice per duel. So it's like you basically never really top decking. It's basically like Destiny draw every twice it per duel. So it's kind of insane.
Most duels are
Um,
over by then. Two
right.
turns, dude. We're done.
Yeah. So, a lot of good decks, they either have a really good first turn or they have a really good second turn. And this deck has both. It has
Mm,
a good first turn. It can put up a bunch of really powerful XCs, or it can just straight up OTK you.
there you go.
And then the third thing is that it's a lot of people say, oh, uh, Lunar Lights counter Onomats or Thunder Dragons counter Onomats. The thing is like Onomats has answers to those decks, like
Hmm.
within their own. So they always main deck the heroic challenger, and they always have the Steel Swarm Roach for Thunder Dragons. So like even though it should in theory lose to those decks, they have the answers already to those decks. Like
Yeah,
just they just play them naturally.
and they're
So
just
it's
more
like
consistent. That's just
exactly.
they just
Yeah.
can whatever they need to do. They can do it on demand. Those other decks. Hope you top deck it, dude, or you have to Destiny draw it.
Exactly.
It's just, yeah, unfortunate. Speaking of decks that are doing well, though, while the margin is really large, 38 points compared to 11, TGs did come in second place. So that's, hey, power to them,
Yeah.
dude. Like, let's go.
Let's go. Yes.
I don't
TGs
know.
are I really like them. They're really
Yeah.
fun. And you can play a lot of different traps with them.
Hmm.
Obviously, if you're a free to play player and you see the deck list, 3 Misk, 3
Yeah.
Screw Serpent, that's already, yikes. But the good thing is, a lot of the decks, I mean, a lot of the traps at least are pretty, you can swap. I've seen people play, Morella. I've seen Skill Prisoner. I've seen Canadias, Bad Aim. They're playing all sorts of different traps in the deck. So I
Uh,
like it though. It is a really nice answer to Onomats, especially because they have M7 to M7 and MSTs to try and remove interactions from
Hmm.
you. So but they can't really answer the survival's end. They need
That's the thing
they
that's
need
really been popping off,
yeah,
dude. The survival's
exactly.
end. Oh my lord. We actually, funny enough, we saw. I think it was on Friday. There was a guy playing just pure dinos, 20 card dinos.
I did see that,
It
and he
all. It was
destroyed.
literally just survival's end, destroying Onomats.
Yeah, it was like he had like some crazy chain link where he had like four 2000 attack monsters or three 2000
Yeah.
attack monsters. It was crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I did see that.
dude, that was insane. Yeah, good job to TGs. We talked about it last week. We're hoping to see, now that people consider them tiered to do well. Second place, not bad. Hope to see it continue when we have more tournaments after Casey Cup. We've got Gaia rolling up. Let's go Gaia. I don't know. Gaia is just kind of like the helmet deck of the format. Is there really anything much more
I
than that,
mean,
dude?
yeah, and especially if you're you're trying to get a foot into the competitive scene.
Yeah.
Gaia is really nice because all you got to do is get three structure decks and little spicy text here and there, and you're good to go. I like this deck a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, helmet decks, they're always nice because sometimes you can't really, when you're playing against a really good player,
Mhm.
you can't beat them by outplaying them.
Right, right, right.
Right. You got to beat them by just completely sacking them, or getting, putting your helmet on real tight, and you just do what your deck's supposed to do, and that's it. And then sometimes that's enough.
Every
So
meta needs a helmet deck. That's just kind of how it works. Gaia is that deck for this, and I think that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I do think
yeah.
it's one of those decks that, um, we see how powerful it is. It's not going to get much more
And
from where
and
it is.
let's quit the cap, guys. No one's actually ever summoned the Titanic Moth for game. Just cut it from the extra decks. Come on, guys.
We have nothing to just throw it in there, dude. Why not?
Right. True.
I mean, the skill locks you out half the time.
Yeah.
Harpies, another good week for Harpies. They were second place last week. Fourth place this week. I don't know.
I'm a little shocked. Yeah.
Yeah, Harpies. I mean, they're not like destroying the meta, but they've always been kind of the baseline for the meta. We call Gaia the helmet deck, but right now it's kind of like before you even think about Onomats, does your deck do well against Harpies? Then you can talk about Onomats and what else you can do with Onomats.
Right. So Harpies and Onomats to me are kind of like they have like the similar thing where
Hmm.
Harpies have the tools to beat their like supposed counters, because they also have access to Roach and all these cards. But the problem is just that they're not as consistent as Onomats. So when
Yeah.
you play Harpies, it's usually because you have you really like those anime girls. You're trying to like, yeah, I don't want to play Onomats, but no,
Yeah.
seriously though, they do have a lot of cool strengths. Like Harpies Hunting Ground is really really nice because it just answers a lot of those back row decks that like if you have Harpy and any Harpy monster and Swallow's Nest, like that is almost just like GG, like
Pretty
basically against
much.
any deck. Like it's insane.
Yeah, and really, it's an accessible deck, right? Free to play,
Yeah,
so a lot of
exactly.
people swarm to it.
Yeah,
Um, I think it's going to be interesting though, because if they murder Automats, it really does feel like it's either going to be Harpy or Gaia that kind of takes over the metagame. I don't
right.
know. It's
So
it's
I have
interesting.
I have a creeping feeling that this is we're heading towards the end of an era right now.
Oh yeah.
It's definitely gonna be a lot of, at least I hope, hopium
Oh,
that
dude, come on.
these decks are not gonna be lasting for much longer. But
Yeah. And then finally, Lunalights. We talked a little bit about them. I feel like the fifth place spot is always like it's either Lunalight or Cyber Dragon or it was Vendred one week. It's always like a random deck. But I really do feel like Lunalight. I mean, they're really just riding off of not even like a good Onomat matchup. What do you call it? Just a good Onomat play, like a good play into Onomat. Obviously Saber Dancer, but then
yeah,
Malevolent Sin really really good against Swordbreaker as well, and then Hand Traps. I guess that's what you'd really call it, just a good play against them.
yeah, it honestly is. And then the other thing is that it has a pretty decent Harpy matchup as well.
Hmm.
So yeah, and if I remember, I think if I remember correctly, the overall breakdown from that tournament, Harpies was second place.
I think
For
so
that.
for
Yeah,
the
so
GG Tour tournament. Yeah,
yeah, a lot of competitive players. They really trust in Harpies and Onomats, and this deck has a very good matchup against both of them, I'd say. So
yeah. And if it, really, if it just came down to all the decks having the same consistency level, the Harpies would be a better deck. It's just I don't
yeah,
know, dude. When you have a deck that literally lets you just choose what monsters to have on the board, it's kind of insane. So
yeah.
I don't know. I guess honorable mention, Resonator is this is the second week now in a row where they are not even in the top 5. GG's Resonator is not coming back. That's it. Easy clap.
They gotta play those Vendreads. What can I say? No, but honestly, yeah, no, Resonators. I honestly really like Resonators. I think they're a fantastic deck, but the problem is they just don't do anything that's like, like a lot of these decks, they have plays that are unfair. Like when Onomats are down and they top deck something, they go for head and they go like plus infinity cards.
Yeah,
And then like Harpies, they go Harpies, you change and they Swallow's Nest. That's like unfair, right? But
pretty much.
Resonators doesn't really have anything like that. Like that to me, they're pretty fair. Like the most unfair thing is the whirlwind in the graveyard giving you a card, but that's like
Yeah, that's
a lot
whatever.
of the Resonators have been around for so long that everyone's just figuring out like, oh, I can stop this one
Yeah, the
part of the
Red
combo.
Rising, they're
Yeah,
done.
exactly. Yeah, and they're done.
It
So
doesn't help that like back row, even Automats have started packing in tons of back row, so the
exactly.
deck
Yeah.
burns out so fast. It's like turn
Yeah.
3 and you're like, oh, my resources are gone. And you can't be doing
Exactly.
that in this current metagame, pretty much.
Right. And then you go through all 3 Red Risings extremely quickly. So at a certain point, you just actually have 0 plays left in your deck. It's kind of sad, but
There you
it's just
go.
how it is.
Only other really notable deck, Cyber Dragon. We all know it's not in the top 5, but we know. We
Yeah,
know, dude. We know.
we know.
Like
We know
the
core fusion gate.
Cyber Dragon rant's coming one day, dude. Nerf the skill. Just get rid of that. Just, I don't
Yeah.
know. Oh yeah, I guess we could talk a little bit about Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes did do better this week in the $500 tournament. They were in top, so it was a top 64 cut, and they made it all the way to top 32. There was some rumblings of Blue Eyes in KC style tournaments, but in the KC GT style, they did very well as well. That one of the winning decks was Blue Eyes. But in side deck format, what do you think? Is it are they lucking out, or are they having decent matchups, especially with the Lunalight uptick? What's going on with Blue Eyes?
Well, I like Blue Eyes. The only problem is that it has the same thing as the other decks. They're not as
Yeah.
consistent as Onomats or even Harpies.
Hmm.
They need to open a discard outlet, or else they're gonna be several turns behind. Like if you have to summon Sage and then like pass with no Karma Cut, nothing like that, it's not gonna be a pretty look. So
There you go. That's pretty
yeah,
much it.
and I do like Blue Eyes because they do have access to the Hollow Life Barrier or Rainbow Life. You know, those cards are really really powerful against a lot of the OTK decks, especially because you also get a board. Like you're gonna stop them from OTKing you, and then you're gonna
Hmm.
put up some big meat Blue Eyes. So it's
Yeah.
nothing to joke at.
It helps them too that they can exceed or contact fuse like right after too, so it's not even like
Yeah,
just a beat stick. I don't know.
right.
Blue Eyes has
Yeah, I
always
like.
been like one of those decks where if there's chaos in the meta, they'll show up and do some good, but once things settle down, people are like, oh, it's just Blue Eyes. It's just
Yeah.
Blue Eyes, dude. That's pretty much all we have in terms of the power rankings this week. A little bit lighter on the tournaments, but still have competitive tournaments on deck. If you have a tournament that has Swiss into a top cut, please feel free to post it in our Discord, and we'll be more than happy to include it in future power rankings. We do have to keep them fair for you guys. Pretty much all we have, though. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out the merch. We got new window merch. What the
Oh,
hell,
do we have
Jen?
it?
We
Oh,
do. It
I
just
didn't.
launched.
Oh, let's go.
That's pretty much all I have to say. PDS.
No, yeah, that's it. Konami, please.
Konami, please.
DDD's copium.
Oh my god, dude. I am ready for the Arc 5 decks, dude.
Let's go.
Yo, listen, return a contract card, add a random DDD to your. See you next time, YouTube. Bye.